feeling it out as I go. That's exactly what I've been doing. And I figured out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. The overworking days are just over. It doesn't work for me. I thought it did. I thought when I first started for so many years, I had this like hustle to me, which is something great to have. Like, don't get me wrong. But it kind of rewinds to that time when I was working 3 jobs. I think I've been hustling for a decade. Not that I don't have to stop hustling. Yeah. That's going to be a part of that passion that kicks it off every day. You wake up and you have to do it, but just in a part of hustling that I want to be more in tune with myself and just know this is what's going to work, this is what's not going to work, and enjoy it.
All right. I honestly, I have a little confession to make, okay? So when I first thought about putting together this project, it started with an event that I was at, actually one by the Only Daughter Society. And I thought that there were so many cool and inspiring business owners who were there pursuing a dream of theirs. And you were one of those people. And I thought to myself, how cool would it be to dive into the mind of everything that you do and understand more of your story and really hear from you. So without further ado, I wanted to ask, who is Lily Richard?
Well, thank you for having me. Lily Richard, I like to describe her as someone who has had a journey the last 10 years, and really she had to find her way through the difficult times, the great times. Being a young mother plays a huge role in that. And I think that she finally has found this peace within herself at age 31. She is friendly and kind. She's hardworking. She has found this balance that has worked for her. She is a flower that has blossomed. And that makes me really proud of myself to describe Lily in that way. I feel like I do bring this light to people's lives. I'm very motherly, and not just at home, but in the business, to my friends. I just have this caring aspect about me. And once I finally kind of got to dig in deeper within myself, I found that just being more open to every possibility throughout my journey has just been inviting good things into my life. So yeah, I'm just super in this space right now that I feel really comfortable. And I think that's a good space to be in.
Balance. Yes. That is something that not enough of us have. And you are balancing so much and going through all of these different facets of life for the first time. How does one even go about knowing where to start?
Right. And we're talking about balance as, I was finishing up my senior year and then having a 6-month-old with me, and kind of just going straight into this world without any kind of obviously experience. But I've always had to find a balance through friendships because not everyone was going through what I was going through. Balance as a single mother, balance with, the ups and downs of working so many jobs. I was at one point working 3 jobs with a 3-year-old before I started Cle Glo. And there's been so many balance through every phase of my life that, now to say I'm 31 and feel really balanced, it's because I took the time for myself. And as I'm growing with my soon-to-be 13-year-old, I have found that we're growing together. And that took me a long time because in the beginning, obviously, it's all about them, right? But I remember being 24, 25 and shifting into the spiritual journey. And that opened new doors that I never thought could open for me. And it really does go down to, okay, do you believe in yourself? And are you willing to take those risks? Which makes me just so I feel honored to tell this story because it's different. It's not something that you would hear of every day. So balance is key for sure.
Absolutely. And you should be proud of everything that you have accomplished. And to stay on that point of balance, I think one of the things that I respect most about you, and it is really shown through you sharing on social media, but it's a balance that you have within your business because it's a little part of life. It's a little part of business. It's a little part of fun. It's a little part of helping people enhance their self-esteem and confidence. But once again, starting a business, cultivating an environment as such, there is not a written set of rules to accomplish that. Yet you have accomplished that. Where or who guided you to be able to cultivate an environment as such?
My ancestors. No, but really, I do explain a lot that anyone can spray tan. Okay, I've now certified 34 women in Ohio to become spray tan artists. But I think it dives a little bit deeper. My grandmother was in the beauty industry for 50 years. Yes, she was doing hair and makeup, really into fashion, and she owned a hair salon. Okay, so I grew up in the beauty industry with her. And then my grandfather, who was just this wild child, very Italian, but also ran away when he was 16 to join the circus in Chicago, and then traveled and became this really well-known artist in Charleston. And I feel behind her beauty profession and his art, this kind of down the bloodstream went into my passion because I make people feel really, feel beautiful about themselves, just like she did. And I do see art within this practice. And that's something he offered.
Yeah. Well, because I think there was even one thing that you were telling me when we were at one of those events about, what was it? It had something to do with, I believe, either violet. It had to do with skin tones.
Yes. So basically when you get a spray tan, there's something called a universal color that they used in the 2000s, and that's why everyone walked around a little bit orange. So, or people think they're going to look like, Ross from Friends, and I have to insure them. No. Yeah. We do vegan spray tans, and they're customized. So the beauty about a customized tan is I can take the base of your skin tone and kind of come up with a blend from the solutions that we carry to perfect this shade. And I think that's a huge part of us being separated from others. We were the first to bring vegan spray tans to Cleveland. We won Best of Cle in 2021. And that's something I take pride in because not just offering a healthier alternative, but it also makes me want to help, girls who are 16 to get out of the tanning beds and kind of just offer something different that we didn't have when we were in high school.
Yeah. Now, with spray tans becoming more and more popular and people understanding them more, which allows them to feel more comfortable with a intended result or an intended outcome, have you seen a major shift over time from the tanning bed to these spray tans?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and self-tanning too. Self-tanning is super convenient. It's sold at a lot of stores. It's also cost-effective, and sometimes it bases on someone's comfort if they wanted to come into the store or not. But that was a huge goal of mine to try to, change people's minds and show them that it doesn't have to be so uncomfortable. I'm not a big person with bright lighting and loud music and kind of overstimulated energy. It makes me feel super uncomfortable. So I wanted to bring a space that people can feel zen, people can feel like they can check out. We're not really aware of other people's days, right? And if someone had a terrible day and I wasn't aware of, I could feel their energy through the door. And they could come in with, they don't have to smile as soon as they walk in. But I can kind of read the room, and the second I'm done spraying, I give them a few moments to sit and relax. The energy that they leave with, right? That's what makes me so happy of what I'm doing, because they leave completely different. So I may have just changed their day or whatnot, but that's something that will keep me going in this career.
Yeah, because what you don't have is the, Miami Vice, like the neon colors. As soon as you walk in, that, a lot of, in the very past, with all of the tanning salons and stuff, like that's what it was.
Yes, totally.
And once again, it goes back to the environment that you have cultivated within Cle Glo that is relaxing. It is something where you can, honestly do what you want to, sit and reflect. I mean, even for a period of time, I'm not sure if you're still doing it, but you had yoga sessions that were there.
Yes. And I've actually, that was a really fun thing to try out. We actually hit our busiest season, so I couldn't offer yoga. We ended up doing record sales in May. So that's something I still want to look into, even if it's a Sunday session. I have a lot of friends that are in the yoga industry, so I would love to have them have a piece of Cle Glo. But that was awesome while it was there, for sure.
Yes. And I'd imagine it ties back to something that you had just got done saying, and that is take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you.
Yes.
Walk through doors that are opened for you.
Yes.
And if you don't have a door that's open for you, open one yourself and take advantage of the opportunity at hand. It's something that Rebecca Maxwell had said. She said, I feel as though I am where I am because I didn't say I didn't say no to a lot of things. I took the opportunity to just try it out. Justice Mendez, who we just had and released his episode, he was saying the same thing. He says, take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you because you never know where it's going to lead. You never know where it's going to take you. So when we think about that, we think about, the start, because you got to start somewhere. Where did you start?
In my kitchen. No, really. I was always in the tanning beds, in high school, because we have to kind of go a little bit back. So I was always in the tanning beds. I love being tan. But also, I think I got that from my grandmother. She was always the tannest one in the 60s and 70s. It was hilarious. All of the photos, I'm like, she was really bronzed. So I just kind of grew up. As I mentioned before, her owning hairlines, there was a tanning bed in the salon. And I remember being literally in 6th grade, getting highlights, and she would say, just go get in there for 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay. She's like, don't tell your mom. I'm like, okay. So I would that's where it started, from her. And going through high school and kind of stepping out of the tanning beds after, I'm a mom. I didn't have time to go really tanning all the time and stuff like that. I had a girlfriend who lived above me in Lakewood, and she was into self-tanning, and I wasn't at the time. I would normally go to the tanning beds at the gym if I wanted to for a quick glow. But up until then, so that was 2018, 2019. Summertime, obviously, we wanted to get pretty dark before a weekend out or something. And she turned me on to self-tanning. I was super impressed. And my girlfriend and we talked about spray tanning because her dad owned a spray tan gun and a tent. And she's like, we should spray tan each other, yada, yada, yada. And we totally loved it. I mean, we were probably spraying each other every week at that point. I remember thinking we could take this to Cleveland. This can be a thing. And she was a teacher, though. So I think that timing didn't really align with her as a part of my journey. I was just kind of doing marketing on the side. I was also serving and bartending. And I saw this as this is a career. This would be a full-time thing for me. I would just go full forth. And as we started spray tanning friends and girlfriends and having spray tan parties, I started to take it really serious. I did a lot of journaling. And when I say that, I remember staying up until 2, 3, 4 a.m. about how many artists are in Cleveland, what are the solutions that are kicking off in LA and Miami and New York, what don't we have here, just seeing what I could really bring to the city that wasn't as popular yet. And I remember that fall, I had actually a girlfriend I met on Instagram, Alexis. She was my first client, and she was a bottle girl at Forward. And obviously I'm like, heck yeah, like come, bring your girlfriends, whatever it may be, but let me start spray tanning you. And I remember that first session, we totally kicked it off. And I remember her being so nice to me in a way of just us not even knowing each other, and her being like, I have to tell my friends, I have to send people your way. And when you're starting off and you're with your first ever client that you don't know, I'm like, this is an angel, you know? And next thing you know, from 10 people a week to 15 people a week to 30 people a week, I had to transform my dining room into a spray tan studio. I had people waiting in my living room, like with, you know, a coffee, candles, relaxing music playing, David in his room locked in, reading a book or playing video games, I don't know. And I turned it into a spa, like right on Orchard Grove. I remember going to my neighbors next door saying, I just want to let you know I got into something new. There's someone in my driveway every 10 minutes. And I'm getting into spray tanning. And before I knew it, it kind of blew up. And I was still, you know, at this time doing marketing because I didn't take that full leap yet on just quitting because I had a hot 2 months of spray tanning. So long story short, my grandma passed away before I started, around a year before this really started. And she's someone who I pray to every day. She's my guardian angel. She totally has my back. I feel like she's here with us. She is like just kick-ass. And I had to go get some of her jewelry cleaned. I go into this jeweler's in Lakewood, and there was this husband and wife, and they were just looking through the jewelry, and they looked up and they're like, you're really tan. And it was like fall, so they were kind of like surprised how I was
like,
that
what's
tan.
going on here?
Yeah. And I told them I just started getting into spray tanning, and they were so intrigued. They wanted to know like where, how long have you been doing it? We want to get it done. We travel. We have a house in Florida. Like it was just super cool. I was just connecting. And if I didn't go to get my jewelry cleaned, I wouldn't have met him because he said, can I take you upstairs? I have a studio that you could rent out to be your small, you know, spray tan salon or whatever you need. And I was like, okay, because at this time I wasn't really looking, but I looked at it as a sign from her, as in, you want it to take this big, let's take the first step. And he was like, you can, you know, rent here month to month, no pressure. I know you're starting off. Let me know what you need. My dad transitioned the place with, you know, he's a painter, so that went great. I remember having girlfriends help me decorate. I had a small grand opening on a Saturday morning with the clients that have been coming to me and family and friends. And it was like a 3-room studio, and it was perfect. It was in the heart of Lakewood. It was 2 minutes from my house. So that transition from people going to my home to this small studio was perfect. And I was probably working with like 40 clients a week, like 3 days a week too. It was still super part-time. Now, my girlfriend, Natalie, Bata, she owns Khakis in the workshop. She's just like a superstar in everything she does, was getting a spray tan, and it was her first time in the space. And it was just around like December. So I've only been in this space for about 2 months. And she said, I'm opening up a dance studio with a partner in Westlake, Ohio called The Workshop. We have an extra room if you would like to spray tan there. Think about it, no pressure, maybe in about 2 months. And I was so into it. Of course, I was like, yes, right away. And then I was like, well, let me think about it because this guy just let me up here. It's only month 3. And I transitioned really nicely. It was just like I I think I gave myself 2 more months in the Lakewood space before I moved out to Westlake. And I started the journey at the workshop.
No way.
Yes. And I was busy for a steady year, crazy busy, still working with my marketing positions. And then COVID. So this still being like part-time in my life, I felt like the longer I put this part-time, even though I'm so passionate about it, the longer it's going to stay part-time. Okay, just like closed mouths don't get fed. If I don't pull the trigger on taking this full-time, it's just going to stay part-time. And COVID hit. My marketing positions were rather comfortable because I got to work from home. So it didn't really affect me as much. But I will say, it's obviously spray tans changed. People weren't leaving to go anywhere. And I still had like bronzing kits for people, especially for people that were going on vacations or wanted to self-tan. That is something I sold in the store. And I was like, well, what can I do differently? Before COVID got crazy, I did something called Zoom glows, where it was like half the body for half the price because people wanted to be tan on camera. So I was like, oh, let's do it. And then I did bronze at home kits. And I remember my first month, I sold like 400 boxes. And instead of like going to the post office, you know, people were kind of angry during COVID. You know, if you show up somewhere, it's like, what are you doing here?
Right.
I'm like, I'm just going to go for road trips. At that point, I like wanted to get out of my house, but I was just literally like an Amazon driver. I would be like, David, want to go for a ride for me? And we would drive an hour away and drop off this box. I kind of like separate it in certain cities. And we did that for a week. And it was just like a road trip every day. And it felt good to kind of just hand deliver those boxes. And I always added like fresh lavender with a note. I just took it very personal. To this day, I still do. And I remember after selling those boxes and everyone supporting, I'm like, this is it. I'm leaving the marketing world and I am going full time with Cle Glo during a pandemic. Okay. Am I crazy? Yes. As an entrepreneur, you have to be crazy. Like it is a trait. Crazy good though. And I took it and I ran and, you know, we kicked butt at the workshop when we were able to get back into the swings of things. And I think that was like May, June, where we were able to get back to business a little bit slowly. And I went store shopping during this time. That summer, it was like June. I've saved up a lot of money at this time. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, I'm ready to get a store. Like, I'm ready to build a team and see what we could do. And that didn't happen, obviously, until I took that step. And that was only a few months after. The first store I fell in love with was also Lakewood. And there was these 2 guys. He really didn't understand the spray tan game. I think he was still stuck in the 2000s, which was fine. At that point, I remember offering double the deposit, even triple the deposit. That's how bad I wanted the space and the build out. And they were going back and forth with me, and they chose a New York law firm that were coming to Cleveland. Understandable, totally fine. It just wasn't meant to be. So I was upset, and I remember whipping out my computer and booking a trip for my son, my dad, my boyfriend, my brother. And I'm like, we're going to Florida for a week. I need to think about things and relax.
Yes.
You know? Yes. And we just were on the beach at this beach house for a week. And I was just like, let's vacation. I'll come back to Cleveland. I'll do, you know, the workshop. And naturally, I'll still find a place. I remember in the middle of July, I was searching on Facebook Marketplace for stores in Lakewood, storefronts, and Scalish Construction, who is like the greatest team, was so eager to meet me after I met with them. And I was like in the space for 20 minutes. And I was like, this is it. And it was 2 years ago from tomorrow that I signed the lease. No which is super exciting. Yes. So 5 years now in the spray tan game, 2 years at our store since I signed the lease. It was like a 4-month build out. And November 1st will be our anniversary of when we opened the doors.
So I'd imagine that you do this just based off of the conversation that we've had. But if for some reason you haven't, or you need someone to tell you, I'll be that person to say, think about everything you've accomplished within these last 5 years. It's crazy. It's every bit of what someone would love to do for themselves. And you have been able to do that for yourself. And you have been able to create a life for you, a life for your son. You have had the opportunity to impact the lives of those who are partnering with you, and your people who are working alongside the store and giving the spray tans. And then you're also helping establish, enhance, and improve every single person who's walking through, because you're improving their self-esteem. You're improving their confidence. You are helping them become more comfortable with themselves. And that is something that I just can't let go unnoticed. It's so special. You should feel so good about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because what I've noticed is that there are so many people who have such good intentions, but sometimes it's hard to put those into effect because there's not always a playbook for how things should be done. I mean, gosh, how many people will sit there and say, well, I don't really know how to go about doing this. And they may just be frozen. They may not know where to go. They may not know how to do it. But instead of you being frozen, you took the bull by the horns and you started something that, like you said, was part-time into a full-time. And you are able to put every bit of yourself into this business. I can tell how personal this business is to you. And it's going to be every bit of the reason that you continue to succeed. I 100% believe every bit of that.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear, especially having my team shine through, because I did start as a solo artist. And so building a team and a store, and, it's been a journey. Yeah. And we're in year 2. I am way more mellow than I was when I first started. I feel like I'm a different person because I've seen a lot of business owners stress out. It's normal too. But with me, I think I've had my fair years of stress with a lot of different things. And how can I keep throwing stress into my passion? I know that sounds weird, but there's no way I can enjoy something like this every day and have stress override my happiness with it. So, I just feel like taking it one day at a time. And that's all we can only do our best. And I've learned a lot along the way. And I have so much more to learn too. But I really want to continue just to enjoy what I'm doing. I've also noticed going from 6 days a week to 3 days a week recently has been a huge adjustment for me. Even just to be there for my son this summer, I look at that as a blessing. All of those long days and nights and spraying 30 people in one day by myself, I did it so that I can take off 3 more days out of my week. And I think a lot of us sometimes feel guilty to rest, but rest is a huge factor in spray tan world. If you're an artist, it's a huge manual labor position. I'm also doing all of the marketing and answering the emails and cleaning.
Yes.
80% of being a spray tan artist is cleaning. So it's a lot. I was also, speaking of the journey, I was recently diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia. I've noticed it's just made me way more mellow and chill and kind of looking at what matters and what doesn't. We're running a vegan spray tan salon in Lakewood. This is a very happy place of making people feel their best, but I also have to feel my best to offer that. So hence why I'm taking off 3 days, just to enjoy myself, my son, self-care. and make sure I'm not overworking that part.
Well, because if you think about it, it's like, yes, you obviously have people that care about you, but you may very well be the only one that can take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself so that you can continue to take care of others. And unless you take the time to do exactly that, it's going to be tough.
Right.
It's going to be tough. But speaking to how you take care of others, I wanted to go back to what you had said about developing a team. How does one even go about doing that? Because we were kind of talking prior to this about like the whole delegation aspect of it. Like you said, this is your baby. This is what you are so passionate about. How do you share that? How do you share that passion with someone? How do you let go of some of the reins?
I know. If I had sisters, I would literally make them all work with me. And this is such a good question. I offered a spray tan course back to back. So there was one group of 10 and another group of 10. This is my first time teaching a course. Everything I know about spray tanning and then everything about Cle Glo. And I'm sharing that with 10 women and then another 10 women. And I really learned every person that signed up for the course were doing this for something, like for themselves. But, you know, we had a travel nurse one time that just wanted this when she traveled and she could help other nurses feel good throughout the States. Like, how awesome. Or a single mom that, you know, just wants something for herself and she can make extra income. A hairstylist who has her own hair spot but also wants to offer spray tans. Everyone had their own story. And I thought that was really cool. And that made me, you know, want to help them and offer what I'm offering. I was so surprised that when I got into spray tanning, there weren't courses in Cleveland. I did an online course with some Sholi from Los Angeles. And with that being said, I really felt like there was this just secret that needed to be shared in a way. Like, how is this not everywhere? And after the course, I made it a goal. You know, this was after I signed the lease for the new place, that I wanted to sign on 2 artists first. Okay, I wanted to start with 2. And before I even chose an artist, and I'll get back to that, I had a client named Jacqueline, and she was seeing me rather often, and we would just connect every time. Her boyfriend lived downtown. She wasn't from Cleveland. And we really connected. And I remember her telling me that she does lashes, and she's a cosmetologist, but she was going to school. She was working for someone, and then she was also going to business school, which I thought was really cool. And I'm like, but you're not doing lashes? Like, you're certified. And I kept telling her, like, you need to do my lashes. I have girlfriends that would, you know, love if you did it. Like, start a mobile company. If I open up a store, would you start doing lashes? So she started doing lashes, I think, for friends and me. And then I remember her thinking about the store. She's like, I don't know. I really want to. And I know that space. So this is what I did. And this is from a comfort level. Like, we got really close.
Yes.
When I was doing the build out of the store, when they asked like what I wanted on the front storefront, I said Cle Glo, vegan spray tan, and lashes. So I remember not talking to her for a few days because I was busy with everything. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have a photo to send you. And I showed her that we're offering lashes. No. And it's like, honey, we're jumping in together. Let's do it. Now full time at Cle Glo doing lashes. No. Best person to work with, like my sister. She's amazing. She's just like the kindest soul. And I see her every day I come in, and she brings that light. She has the passion for lashes, just like how I do for spray tan. And it's about making people feel good. So after I've already kind of committed to having Jacqueline in, I knew that I had to find 2 spray tan artists. And I found 2 great girls. One I actually knew from high school. She was a little bit younger than me, but we've known her forever. And obviously that made me feel comfortable. And we had about 2.5 months where I had left the workshop and the store was still getting, you know, having the build out done. So I had to turn in my house and into Ohio City, not into a one person. Here we go. We went back to the house space.
Yes.
And I had one artist in this small den. I had another artist in the living room, and then another artist in like the room off of the kitchen. We had people waiting for like time after time, like 40 people in one day at my house.
That is wild.
Yes. I'm like, the store will be ready soon. The store will be ready soon. I could have stayed at the workshop, but with artists underneath me now at this time, it just wouldn't have been ideal. I really needed us to all be working at the same time. Yeah. So finding them really meant a lot to me because I had to make sure that they were able to offer what I offer and kind of had that same vibe, even if they were part-time. I know that they're kind-hearted, and throughout the time, now we're in year 2, one of the artists is still with me, and I have 3 more additional artists. And, sometimes in your first year, people want to go do something else after 6 months of spraying, and that's totally fine. I totally wish people well and can wish them the best from afar. And people that want to stick around through the waves of even letting me be me in this first year of business of I've never done this before. So let's see what's going to work and what's not going to work. Now with a team of 4 artists and 1 lash tech, so there's 5 of us, I truly feel so confident in just knowing like what a great fit everyone is. And this is all very part-time for everyone. But I have to tell you, one of my artists, like Gia, she's a teacher on the east side and does this part-time. She loves making people tan, and she's been tanning for a few years prior to joining my team. And Caitlin, who's like a mental health therapist and a Reiki healer, is also now spray tanning. Julia, who's also serving at Angelo's and has been for 10 years, is really great with people. And Sophia, who also works for her uncle's pizza shop, and, she's younger. She just got out of high school and stuff like that. So we really have hit all these different souls with different careers and doing whatever they want to do. But I know what they bring to the table at Cle Glo, and I feel like they're just super authentic. Yeah. And it's also their place to check out because I can tell they're very happy to, be a part of Cle Glo.
Yeah. And what a mixture of people that could not have ever gone to plan if it was attempted to be planned.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I know. I feel really grateful.
Absolutely. You should.
I really do. And just even if I'm sitting at the desk and to hear their conversations, because our rooms are by drop cloth, so, it's not like everyone's closing their door. The conversations, it just makes me so happy. I'm like, okay, they're engaging. You never know when they first started. And just to hear some of their convos or just the way they treat people, I know that's how they would want to be treated. From a business owner's point of view, like I couldn't have asked for any, better people. So
yeah. Well, and what an opportunity for you to come into your business, your place of work, and it being in some which ways a place of relaxation, a place where you can, renew, rejuvenate, because most of the times people don't have the opportunity to feel that when they're going into work. Right. But I'd imagine part of that is because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have someone come in with a certain energy and leave with a better energy. Mm-hmm. So your business is what I would refer to as an epitome for a type of business and a model of business that we try to talk about here on SmileTalk, because you are improving people's self-esteem and confidence. I mean, gosh, like you were saying, I would have never thought that something like, what do you call that? The where it's just like when your face or like upper body's the only thing that's tanned.
Oh, a Zoom glow.
Yes, like who would have thought I wouldn't have had?
Yeah.
But you did that, and you have. I don't know. Like I think honestly, I'm just super impressed. I'm super impressed, and I'm super fortunate that you're able to share with us some of these things that go through your mind, because as I've referenced a bunch of times in this episode already, there's not a written book for all of these things. But I'd argue that a lot of what you are doing is you're like writing the playbook in some cases as you go.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like in high school, I wasn't aware of depression. Yeah. And I definitely hit a point of depression in my career. It was when I was transitioning and didn't know to take the leap or not. Clearly, that could be a stressful time. And then there was a little bit depression after my first year of opening due to just stress. And I just felt it. Like if I wanted to spend my weekends like at home, you know, just trying to like feel this out, it was a different space to be in for the first time, especially in your older 20s. And it's not a space that you also want to be in when you're raising another human, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, feeling it out as I go, that's exactly what I've been doing. And I figured out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. The overworking days are just over. It doesn't work for me. I thought it did. I thought when I first started for so many years, I had this like hustle to me, which is something great to have. Like, don't get me wrong. But it kind of rewinds to that time when I was working 3 jobs. I think I've been hustling for a decade. Not that I don't have to stop hustling. Yeah. That's going to be a part of that passion that kicks it off every day. You wake up and you have to do it, but just in a part of hustling that I want to be more in tune with myself and just know this is what's going to work, this is what's not going to work, and enjoy it. Yes. Yeah.
Well, because if you think about it, what you are doing is taking care of yourself, taking care of others, understanding what it is that works for you. More importantly, understanding what doesn't work for you so that you can create the environment that you are. And it is because of that people feel that walking in.
Yeah.
And then once again, they take that, and it reminds me of a little comic that I saw in which there's, a bunch of gray people and then there's a yellow person. It's like a little cartoon.
Yes.
And have you seen that one?
Yes.
He walks in to the center of the room with all of those gray people, and his brightness starts to be shared. And what you realize is that in some cases, it only takes one person to make a change and affect others in a positive way. Yeah. And you have been able to do that through not only the spray tan side of your business, but like you also partner together with a couple other local Cleveland businesses, whether that be the opportunity to host a pop-up shop, or I understand that you sell some of the clothes that other people have at your store. So like you are helping like not only the individuals that you're servicing through your business, but then you're also just servicing through other ways, which is just another thing that's so incredibly impressive, because there's not something that says like you need to do this or you should do this, but you say, no, like this is my friend, or I see what they're doing, and you are providing value simply through doing that.
Yes, and I swear this is like this mother of that comes out in me. Like a client was like, "Can I make body butters to sell at your store?" I'm like, "Bring them in, bring them in." Gia was like, "Can I sell earrings?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, look at all the space we have. And it came down to like, remember the guy when I was getting the jewelry cleaned, and he was like, it took him 1 second to be like, "Hey, actually, I have a space upstairs." Did you see the photo I posted yesterday of the flower on my story?
Yes.
So you bringing up that comic, right? I really don't drink as much alcohol, and I know this is where it's going to go. So I don't drink as much alcohol anymore. And it was a girlfriend's birthday Saturday night. I did, and God, I felt like crap on Sunday, and it was such a huge reminder of why I don't do this anymore. So clearly after that, you kind of have some like brain fog, and yesterday was a different kind of Monday for me. I'm like, this is exactly why I don't do it anymore. Yeah. I went for a walk because we all know after a good walk, you never regret a walk. And even if it's for 30 minutes, 10 minutes, And I was thinking about our podcast today and some of, what the things that we were going to talk about. And I'm walking and I look over to my left and there's all that greenery and there is a lily flower. One flower made it through all of those weeds. And that's the only thing I needed to wake up today, go work out with a friend, get a coffee, and just feel so good driving over here. I just had to look at that flower and something so small. I didn't really even want it to go on the walk, but I knew it was better for me. And to see that flower just sitting there with all of the weeds and there's this beautiful white flower blossoming, I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yes.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And what it does is it allows you the opportunity to, once again, I'll refer back to something that you said, reflect and think about the little things. Think about what's actually important. Think about what you need to just push you one step further towards something that may seem insignificant or something that is going to lead to another venture or another connection or another opportunity. And that's why I think that across I would refer to it as expert marketing amongst Cle Glo, is you've been able to cultivate an environment around your store and your brand. That's hard to convey through social media, yet you've been able to accomplish that, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like I've built, with a marketing background, it felt really good to do something for myself with marketing and to do what I'm doing. So I've built this huge connection, I feel like, with a lot of other spray tan artists across the world. Things like that, or just stories from people like, I just started spray tanning, you've inspired me, and the messages I've received. I had someone's husband reach out to me recently. I'm trying to help my wife get started. I ran across your page a few times. I have questions for you, would pay for your time. Just crazy messages that do keep me going. And surrounding myself with people who I've seen become entrepreneurs has been awesome. And just, you are who you surround yourself with. And I do have my core friends from high school, right? Forever. But who I've been with in the last few years have helped me a lot of just connecting and being with those that care about me and vice versa. And seeing my friends become entrepreneurs in their own way has been super enlightening. And I love to see that. And I love to help support any way I can. And it's really cool if you sit down and, get lunch with girlfriends and we're all talking about our businesses or events that we need to collab with, or let's do this giveaway together. Those are super positive conversations that I enjoy having.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to be able to grow with other people. Yes. Justice Mendez had this quote, his favorite quote, and it talked about, if I see further than my peers, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. When you are utilizing the superpowers that other people have, it's going to propel you so much further. Mm-hmm. But it's tough, though, because you have to be able to ask. You have to be able to develop a relationship with someone who's going to be able to share those superpowers with you, which is why it's so important to acknowledge your openness and willingness to share your superpowers.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't been already, which I'd assume that you are, you have been, that man with the upstairs studio to someone else.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be that person. Letting my schedule kind of go from the 6 days to now 3 days and having the girls have more time in the store, I think just makes them more excited. And it's showing that I'm cutting the umbilical cords one by one, where I'm no, see, this is why I opened a store. This is why I've created this environment, because I want people to experience what I've been experiencing. And I said this a few years ago on a podcast, and just to sit here in front of you today and say, I'm doing it because I want people to experience what I'm experiencing still and be so excited about it. Like, I can only imagine, what the next few years will look like. A lot of I do get questioned a lot of if I'll open another location. And I can honestly say, like, I just love being so content in the present moment, where when you have gone from, like studio to home, and then doing 1,000 mobiles, and then you're back home spraying, and then you do a build out in a store, we're still so young in our like store journey that I just want to enjoy this. I wanted to enjoy it. We have a long road ahead of us, and if anything, I would just get maybe a bigger store one day, but I love enjoying now. I think that's such a comfortable space to be in. Yeah.
Take a moment and think about everything that you have accomplished yourself. Think about everything that you have done to help boost other people up. And think about everyone that has walked out of your place feeling better than they walked in. That is something that a lot of people won't be able to experience, but it is something that you offer each and every day.
It's called tan therapy. Tan therapy.
Yes. And one of the other things that I've recognized through our conversation here today is that, like, even talking through some of the trials and the tribulations that you've had, you talk about it in a way of like reflection and a way of acknowledgement and a way of learning, which is different than talking about it out of like sheer frustration. And okay, I understand that like it can be frustrating going through some of those things. But what I've been able to take from what you have said is that it's all going to be okay. Understand that there's a path for us all moving forward. And yes, put forth the effort, grind, do what you need to do to get things done. But it will all be okay.
Oh, yeah. It's all going to work out. Yeah. And once I kind of just like gave up in that way of like, wait a second, I don't have control. Well, then I know who does, and I'm grateful, and just trusting the process. Tamiko Ruby J is my Reiki healer, and she's moving back to Cleveland this weekend after a long, like 6-7 years. So I'm super excited because I know she'll be making her shining ways through Cle Glo. But she has always told me to trust the process. Trust the process. Say it every day. And look what's been happening. So
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I feel like your attitude is contagious. Okay. Your smile is contagious. Your aura is something that is so positive. And you've been smiling this whole time. So it almost feels silly to ask what makes you smile, but I wanted to ask what makes Lily smile.
I feel like I could give you a list, and I'll give you like a mini list because a lot obviously does. Number one, David, like my son, he is the reason I'm here, and he's the reason why I go so hard, and he's just such a light in my life. He's so caring, and just to see how he's growing, I could smile, I could cry. He's everything. And my dog and family and friends. I feel like in the podcast, it's going to like go into like the slow motion of when I just keep saying things. People, the clients make me smile, and this practice, things that I've been able to do for myself, like, I do get compliments of, wow, you seem so zen, or you seem really comfortable. And that's because I think I've just taken the time. I've taken the time to just do some self-work, and even if it started with journaling or Reiki or just relaxing, right? So a lot of those make me smile. And like a rainy day with my favorite candle and my like favorite shows, that's like totally on point for me. But yeah, a lot makes me smile. I definitely smile way more than like an RBF. I will say.
True.
Okay.
True.
If you like go into a coffee shop, I read this somewhere, and you don't take your phone in with you and kind of just enjoy your experience of getting a coffee to go, you'll notice the others that aren't looking down at their phone, and they'll smile at you and you can smile back or give them that smile. And that's something I wanted to share because lately I've been like leaving my phone when I go in and grab a coffee, and there's only quite few that aren't looking down, and they'll smile. And it's just like cool. Like coffee shops want you to experience their shop, right? So it's nice to do that without your phone sometimes. Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Let's see. Instagram. Okay. TikTok. Yeah, I've been making some TikTok posts, which I love because I feel like I'm getting way more comfortable in front of the camera with like no makeup on. Like I don't care anymore. I don't know. In a way of, just it's okay to be in front of the camera and be authentically you. Like I don't need to keep replaying it. I'll say one video and post it, right? And so Instagram and TikTok. And that's it for right now.
Once again, thank you so much for playing a role in helping me enhance and improve my self-esteem, because it was something that I have been wanting so badly to get you on, because I knew just from the first time that I met you that you had a story to share and an attitude that was something to capture, bottle up, and share with each and every person who'll be listening to this.
As my dad says, groovy. I'm going to bring that back. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait for everyone to listen. I feel like this was such a positive episode, and thank you again.